Joining us via phone from Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, is Congressman Louie Gohmert. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Jeff.
Man, glad to have you along. We appreciate you doing this.
Always good to talk to you.
All right, let's first talk about some of the things happening in D.C. What can we look forward to here in the next few days? Anything big happening?
Well, we're going to have to take up that 2-month extension that was done despite a very unified Republican group in the House that did not want a 2-month deal. We wanted a full-year deal, and we passed the full-year deal. It had a lot of good stuff in it, too, Jeff. There was welfare reform that was done in there. We allowed states to start drug testing before they paid out welfare, provided a requirement for people to actually show more authentically that they were actually trying to get employment, requirements for extending education if you can't find a job. There were lots of good things in there, and not to mention most people had heard about the Keystone Pipeline. So imagine our surprise when we vote on it. We're not going to change, and we come home just a couple of days before Christmas and find out that our leader has said we'll agree to a 2-month deal. So that was quite a shock.
You know, speaking of late last year, late 2011, a huge bill that got a lot of attention, the National Defense Authorization Act.
Yep.
Talk about what was in it and, more importantly, what was not in it.
Well, a lot of us had extreme concerns about it, and were able to get a line in there that said it specifically didn't give the president authority to detain American citizens with, like everybody had been hearing. We got a line in there that says he cannot do that. And for some reason, and I got into this in a town hall gathering back home right before Christmas, and some people had said, why did you vote for this? You stand up for the rights of individuals. You're dadgum right. And one individual said, I read it myself, and I said, let me read it to you. And I don't have the provision right in front of me, but it basically says, this cannot be used to detain an American citizen in military detention. You can't do that. But there still is more presidential authority than some of us think there should be from a 2001 act that got passed 4 years before I got to Congress. And there's some of us that are working to fix that. It didn't get expanded at all in the NDAA that got passed before Christmas at all. And I'm amazed that people get, well, I read it. Well, I did too. Let me read you the actual language. And I can get that and shoot it to you, so it's pretty clear. But it does not fix the problem that's gone on since 2001, and that's what we need to work on. So I hope people will not get worked up into the paranoia that has obviously occurred. But anyway, we're going to work on fixing the 2001 Act. It needs fixing.
Yeah. When you take a look at the political landscape right now and you see the folks that are running for the Republican nomination for president, a lot of these folks are talking about smaller government. When you hear these folks, from your perspective, what really needs to be done, and what can a president do to help curtail the intrusiveness of government?
Well, there are a lot of things that can be done, but the number one thing that has to be done most immediately is to repeal Obamacare. And it has absolutely got to be done. Now, I've heard Mitt Romney say we needed to repeal Obamacare, and he's going to make that a priority. And then I've also heard him say we're going to get rid of the parts that are bad and keep the parts that are good. Whoa, wait a minute. That's not repealing Obamacare. There is so much bad in that bill. You talk about the military and the president's power. In the Obamacare bill, page 1312, something like that, it creates a commissioned officer corps and a non-commissioned officer corps that are answerable only to the president, and it says they can be called up by the president for international health emergencies or national emergencies. And, boy, there is just a lot of room for abuse for that. So, anyway, I would like to get the whole thing repealed. We got the federal government taking control over local vending machines, restaurants, all kinds of things that have no business being in a health care bill, not to mention the federal mandate for people to buy a product because, as people have heard over and over, if the president and the Congress can mandate somebody to buy a product, then there's nothing left the Congress can't do and the president can't do. The federal government can order you to do anything.
Yeah.
It's got to be repealed, regardless of what the Supreme Court does.
And so for you, that's going to be the number one issue
for
these
number one, and then that also does more to address the vast overspending than any single one thing we can do. Now, another thing, and I'm encouraged about this, I had commitment from both Paul Ryan and from Boehner in front of the whole conference that we would move forward the zero baseline budget bill. I've filed it in all 4 Congresses I've been in, and finally we're going to get a vote on this thing, and I know it'll pass, and it being an election year, I think we can put enough pressure on the Senate to either pass it or get defeated. Because America gets it. You should not have an automatic increase in every federal budget every stinking year.
Yeah.
That just makes no sense. And we tried to get a score from CBO on that, but CBO comes back like they do anything that'll be helpful. They're not going to help you. And so, and that comes from rules that were passed in 1974. That created CBO, created the rules for scoring, and it also created the automatic increases every year. Well, it'll do wonders to cut the spending once we can cut out the automatic increase every year.
Wow, you're doing such a great job in D.C. We appreciate your service.
Well, we're
working
really on it.
We do indeed. Louie Gohmert, we appreciate it, sir.
Thank you. Always good to talk to you.
Thank you, man.